Yes.
I've got my voice restored. It's like the fifth time we've done it, please. Jeez. I just want to... my cheeks. Oh, my cheeks. Because I know you're not going to cut this out. I know this is going to be the cut.
So, how was your training this week?
It was good. It's just continuing, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. And sorry, my dog. I feel pretty good about it.
I think this should just be the video. It should just like cut here. Hugo would be happy.
My training went well, but I think I'm
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I think I have exercise-induced insomnia because I'm going to bed at night, and I'm wide awake, and I feel really buzzed. What about you?
Yeah, pretty well. I had a long run on the weekend. I ran 10 kilometers in just over an hour. So at the moment, I'm just trying to continue running multiple times a week without hurting myself. But great. I mean, I'm feeling good. I'm motivated, and yeah, I feel good.
Well, I told you my friend Katu had said as long as you're running 10K by the time it's the start of May, she said you'll do it easy.
Actually, speaking of which, I was going to say one other thing that came up this week is that I discovered that there's a running event in Berlin in May. So It's a 10K, but it's also called the Big 25. So
it's a half?
So there's a half, there's a 10K, there's a half marathon, which is 21, and then there's the Big 25, which is 25 kilometers. And I'm thinking I'm going to try and run the half marathon. And that's in mid-May, 14th of May.
Okay.
Which seems doable. It's 7 or 8 weeks away. The thing is, I could do the 10K, but I'm already running 10K, so it's not exactly much of a challenge.
See, I was thinking of doing this 10K here coming up, and I was thinking of doing it, but more from the point of view, because I know I'll do the 10K easy. There will be no problem. More from the point of view of just practicing being in a race, running around with people there and feeling a bit ugh.
So this week's theme is, as we said last week, is kind of a little bit heavier in a sense, but also hopefully optimistic in its overall message. So one of the things that we're doing with this run, as most people who are watching this probably know by now, is that we're raising money for the Australian Cancer Research Foundation, which is a very important cause for us personally. Yeah. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about why.
Well, the reason is, as some people who know us know, our mum, Lynn, passed away from a pretty, I guess, a short battle, but fairly vicious battle with cancer in 2005. And so this is a very important charity to us because we've experienced it's horrific.
And your tragedy feels very particular to you. I mean, it feels like this horrible lightning bolt has come down and only affected you. Yeah. But actually, this is a disease that affects a huge number of people in the world. In Australia, 1 in 3 Australian men and 1 in 4 Australian women will be diagnosed with cancer before the age of 75.
Yeah.
Annually, more than 123,000 new cases of cancer are diagnosed in Australia. And it's one of the leading causes of death in Australia. An estimated 45,700 people passing away from cancer every year.
Yeah, it's not something you can ignore and think, oh, not me.
No, it's going to affect
Probably you.
Almost everyone, you know. I mean, I always find those sorts of statistics like pretty crazy, like one in three, because it's sort of, you know, they always come up at like lunch or something, and you're sitting at a table with six people, and you think like, well,
It's one of those things that you feel, I feel fearful for, because, you know, I'm a mum, and I'm my child's only parent. And so, you know, when you hear those kind of statistics, that's scary.
so those were just Australian statistics, but looking at the World Health Organization website, and I'll put some links to this stuff in the description of the video if people are curious to look. Cancer is one of the leading causes of morbidity and mortality worldwide, with approximately 14 million new cases in 2012, which is obviously when this data was collected, and that number would be higher now for sure. The number of new cases, here we go, is expected to rise by about 70% over the next 2 decades.
Why do you think that is?
It's a combination of factors. Around 1/3 of deaths from cancer are due to the leading 5 behavioral and dietary risks, which are high body mass index, low fruit and vegetable intake, lack of physical activity, tobacco use, and alcohol use. And I'm pleased that I'm preparing for a marathon, in that I have to admit I'm probably guilty, or have been guilty at points in my life, of 4 of those 5. You know, and I would say a lot of people would look at those categories and be like, yeah, maybe I'm not active enough. Maybe I do drink a bit too much. Maybe I like all of these things. I mean, they are major parts of the contemporary lifestyle.
Part of why we wanted to do this marathon was for sort of a lifestyle reboot.
Yeah.
And so on one hand, we want to do something that's positive for this charity. That's, you know, hopefully that will on a macro scale make a difference, but on the micro scale of our own lives, this is a journey towards, I don't know, maybe making some improvements.
I just wanted to throw in one statistic from the ACRF website that I thought, you know, I mean, hopefully gives some kind of sense of optimism about this. And that is that the survival rate for many types of cancer has increased by more than 20% in the past 3 decades due to treatment improvements and new interventions brought about by research. To say something about what the ACRF in particular does, they fund like world-class facilities and technologies for researchers working in Australia on the diagnosis and treatment of cancer. They're at the forefront of world research, and they're attracting world-class researchers from around the world to Australia to do this kind of work. And again, I'll put a link in the description, but anyone who wants to know more about the ACRF should go and look. They have, for example, a video which features a whole bunch of doctors and scientists talking about what an impact this makes on their ability to do world-class research, and how important the ACRF's funding is to their work and to, you know, the fight to find a cure for cancer, or to find better ways of diagnosing and treating it. Yeah. So it's a very important charity, and I think I'm speaking for both of us.
I feel very proud to be doing this.
Well, we should probably wrap it up on that note.
Well, and wrap it up by saying, you know, if you've watched this video and you've gone this far, please go to our link and donate, because really, if you you know, it's probably such a small amount in the scheme of things, but if everybody just gives a small amount, we're going to make our target and be able to really give a good contribution to our charity.
If you're watching this and you have donated, thank you sincerely.
Yeah, thank you.
And if you are watching and you haven't donated, you know, $5 makes a difference, $10 makes a difference. I mean, it's the price of a couple of cups of coffee this
Well,
week.
for $10 in Australia would only
Yeah,
get you
that's
two
right.
cups of coffee. So let's be
That's
honest,
true.
it's not that much.
Yeah, it's a down payment on a coffee in Sydney.
Okay.
All right, cool. Good to talk.
Bye.
See ya.